It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday to you guys. I'm just getting this shared out here. Give me 1 second. And we're going to get talking about something that might be a little controversial. We might get a little fired up on here this morning, depending on what position people take on this particular topic. But we're going to talk this morning about why the NFL is a mess. So it is Friday, November 15th, folks. The days are clicking by towards the end of the year here. And, man, I woke up this morning. I fell asleep before the end of the game last night between the Steelers and the Browns. The Steelers were not doing too well, and the game was sloppy, so I didn't enjoy watching it much anyway. But I want to talk this morning about why the NFL is a mess and how exactly that relates to other businesses and possibly even our own lives if we allow, some of these things to go on in our own lives. So good morning, Patricia, Jeff, Dean, Trisha. What's happening, guys? Good morning. But I want to talk about, exactly what happened. For you guys that didn't see this last night, I'm going to show you a clip this morning of exactly what went down at the end of the Cleveland Browns-Pittsburgh Steelers game. And we're going to talk about why that is a terrible thing for the NFL and why I believe that this will probably be another repeat performance of the NFL falling short of doing the right thing when it comes to just terrible things happening within the people that play within the NFL, the coaches, the whole organization of the NFL. But so I'm going to play you this clip right here, and you guys can take a look at what happened at the end of this game, and then we'll get talking about why I believe the NFL is such a mess. So stay tuned here.
Pass is defensed, and now a sack.
Yeah, well, he'll be the AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
You're giving it to him right now.
I am.
Here's a flag as... Whoa!
Hello.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's...
Mason Rudolph got into
needs
it.
to get out of there.
What in the world? Believe Myles Garrett? They're swinging a helmet?
Yeah, there'll be some ejections coming out of this.
There may be suspensions.
That's right, suspensions.
And it was Garrett. That was well after the play. And here it is.
Well, he tackled Rudolph. Rudolph didn't like the way that he was tackled.
Oh, gosh.
Man.
Oh, man. Oh. Oh, my goodness. Rips the helmet off Rudolph's head and then eventually swings it and hits him in the head. And then Ogunjobi comes up and hits Rudolph from behind.
Beyond words, Joe.
Oh, my gosh. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
So this, guys, and man, it literally just fires me up to watch something like that. And the reason that it does, guys, is this. These guys are front and center in front of our children, in front of young people who are impressionable. And stuff like that is just, it's unacceptable. And what happens time and time and time again with the NFL is that because of the level of talent and skill of these guys, they are excused for doing these types of things. And it is absolutely ridiculous, and I don't care who it is. Pouncey from the Steelers is just as bad or close to as bad, whatever you want to call it, as the guy who ripped the helmet off the quarterback. The guys coming off the sidelines, this stuff is just ridiculous, man. And we as a society somehow put these guys on a pedestal, and we say that it's okay. They get an 8-game suspension for beating women. They get, who knows what this guy will get, an 8-game suspension. And at some point, somebody, and I almost downloaded the Cleveland Browns coach's response to this, at which he said he was embarrassed and he was this. And it's like, man, and I'm not Chris. The guy, I'm sure he's in the middle of a storm that he doesn't want to deal with the media and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, guys, like, that dude should be suspended by the Cleveland Browns in an instant. At the end of that game, the Cleveland Browns should have taken action against that guy to get him off their team. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been in the same situation where they didn't necessarily do the right thing and suspend somebody or hold somebody out that got into some trouble. The point being, guys, here's what I looked up this morning. The bottom line is this. Here's what the NFL says their mission statement is. We unite people and inspire communities in the joy of the game by delivering the world's most exciting sports and entertainment experience. Seem like they're living up to that mission statement with those actions? Their vision statement: to bring fans and communities from all walks of life together to celebrate a game that is constantly evolving, balancing the authenticity of tradition with the power of innovation. And their core values are as follows: respect, integrity, responsibility to team, and resiliency. Does it seem to you guys like any of those things are anywhere close to what happened in that video? And here's what I will tell you guys. The NFL consistently sidesteps these types of actions by not penalizing the people who are involved. That is a criminal act that you guys just watched, by the way. That is assault by definition, and that person should be charged with a crime. Why they're not, I don't know. I'm actually going to take the time to look this up today because I find it ridiculous. And it's not just football, by the way. Baseball has bench clearing brawls. Hockey has ridiculous fights, guys smacking each other with sticks at risk of death or serious injury. And we allow this stuff as a society to go because this is what we do for enjoyment. And I'm going to tell you this, guys. What I just read to you about their core values, their mission, and their vision, the reason that the NFL is going downhill and will continue to go downhill unless they change something is because they don't actually live by those values. That is nothing but a bullshit piece of paper that the NFL puts out to make it look good. But when the cards are on the table, they will not do the right thing. They will try to do the right thing that matches whatever their PR firm tells them to do. That's the truth. So they have to balance what the players union says versus the fans versus the owners. They try to make everybody happy instead of doing the right thing. So I would ask you guys this. In your own lives, when you look at things that happen around you that are not the right thing, something like this, people doing things to each other that aren't right, anything that happens in your own life, how do you handle it? Because that is what defines a business. It's what defines your morals. What defines where you're going in life is how we deal with these types of situations. Now, I'm not saying, the guy, listen, in a moment, anybody can make a bad decision. I've made plenty of them. But the reality is that the penalties that these guys face it's not working. It's not working because it continues to happen over and over and over again. There's these types of things far too frequently. And so you have to ask yourself, why is it that they're protected from the law when what they do on the field in any other circumstance would be considered a crime? Why is it not handled that way? That dude could have killed that quarterback if he hit him in the right fashion in the head with that helmet. Could have killed that quarterback. But again, the NFL will allow that to go on. There was another player on the field last night that just came back from a suspension who was caught on video beating a woman, kicking a woman, doing all kinds. I mean, just the stuff that goes on is crazy. And until the NFL and all of these professional sports leagues decide to take a hard line against this type of behavior, it's going to continue because they don't have much to lose. They're paid millions of dollars. If they lose 8 games of pay, yeah, they're not happy about it, but they're not really suffering. They're not really suffering. And the reality is that the NFL does not stand for what's right. They stand for what's profitable. And if you do that in your business, you will lose too. Because the reality is that if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And that's exactly what the NFL has become. It's become a league that values talent over morals, that values profits over what's right, and that could care less about anything other than appeasing the people that line its pockets. And that, what you saw on that video, is the result of what happens when that's the moral integrity of an organization. It doesn't matter if it's your family, if it's a business, if it's the NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, whatever it is. It makes no difference. It's all the same, guys. And so at some point in your life, you have to decide to take a stand for what's right. And some people might watch this video and think that I'm not right for saying what I'm saying, and that's okay too, because they're entitled to their opinion. But I am going to tell you that my children will not be watching this sport because it's ridiculous. Until they decide to do the right thing. I love football. My children can watch college football. But the fact that this stuff goes on in the NFL is just, it's too much for me, man. It's like, it's completely against what I stand for. It's completely against what I want to teach my children. What's right is right, guys. And what's wrong is wrong. And when you see stuff like that going on, and then you got guys from the Steelers coming over and kicking guys and punching guys. I mean, come on, man. What are we showing to our kids? These are the guys that our children wear their jerseys. They sell their jerseys at stores, and little kids walk in there and say, I want that guy's jersey. And that night, they're watching them on TV do shit like this. It's insane. It is insane. So I would challenge you guys today to think about that. To think about what it is that you allow in your own life. Because when you allow those little things to just go past you without addressing them, without bringing them to light. I'm not telling you got to take a hard line on every single thing in your life, but when you don't take a hard line and you allow people to do things that are completely ridiculous and get away with it, other people will get away with it too. And as we allow those things into our lives, it becomes harder and harder and harder to overcome it and make it right again. So the NFL at this point has an uphill battle to make it right because it's not easy. It's not easy to make it right when you have let it go for so many years. And I know there's going to be people that talk about all the things that the Steelers have done, because I'm a Steelers fan and a Pittsburgh guy. I don't defend any of it, guys. I don't defend any of it. You know, I think there's plenty. Every single team has a story in the NFL. And why they have a story is because of how the NFL handles situations like this. So it'll be very interesting to see how the NFL comes out. Number one, how fast the punishment is. Number two, what does the NFL Players Association try to do to defend the indefensible? And that's another problem that we have in this country, in the NFL, and all kinds of stuff, is that, you know, there's always a defense to things that are indefensible. It's like, man, why are we trying to say that anything about that is right? Nothing about it. Not the action, not the reaction by the other players, not the guys coming in and say, "Oh, I'm sticking up for my teammate." It makes absolutely no difference, man. I get it. You want to get the guy off of your guy. You don't want anybody to get hurt. You're trying to separate everyone. I get that. But you got to go in there and stomp on somebody or punch somebody or, you know, push somebody to the ground because your guy's getting attacked. Like, it's all bullshit, man. It's all just excuses for barbaric behavior that has no place in the world, period. And if the NFL doesn't take a stand, then they basically say it's okay. That's the truth. The NFL should be having a press conference that sounds a lot different than the response that the coach of the Browns had last night, which was, "I'm embarrassed, and he knows he did the wrong thing," and blah, blah. Come on, man. Come on, man. Give me a break. That's the best you got? That's how upset you are? Go watch the interview. Go watch the post-game interview of the Cleveland Browns coach. It's when you see stuff like that's not normal, guys. If that happened in public, anywhere, at a bar, out somewhere, and that was on video, what would happen to that guy? What would happen to him? He would be in handcuffs. He'd be in handcuffs being carted away. But because he's a professional athlete, and I read a tweet from Deion Sanders last night that said, "This is an emotional game." Okay, man. Well, if you can't control your emotions, then don't play the emotional game. There's a big difference between playing an emotional game and getting fired up about something and putting people's lives at risk. Somebody gets hurt on a play, that's a completely different thing. You know, I watched a helmet-to-helmet hit last night during the game. Those things happen. You have to train people not to do it so that people don't get seriously injured, but those things happen during the game. But if you want to sit there and say, well, this is an emotional game, guys make mistakes, you're part of the problem. You are part of the problem. And that's the world we live in, guys. Everybody wants to make excuses for bad behavior, for bad this, for what, there's always a reason. Or they want to support their team. Or they want to defend somebody's actions because they're a really talented player. Come on, man. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. It doesn't matter how much money they have. It doesn't matter how fast they run. It doesn't matter how far they can throw a football. It doesn't matter how many Super Bowls they've won. It doesn't matter. What's wrong is wrong. What's right is right. So we will see what the NFL does today. I'm sure they're going to have a mess on their hands today. But I wanted to talk about this morning because I think that, in the world of, perspective in your life, this is one of those things that you have to recognize for what it is. And when you see stuff like that, if you don't speak out about it, I wasn't going to talk about this because I thought, I don't know, man. Maybe this is not good, right? Maybe it's a bad topic to talk about. But I also think that lots of people talk about, that they want to make an impact, they want to make a change in the world, but they won't do the things that are, possibly unpopular or possibly risky to talk about. And I don't want to be one of those people. I want to speak my mind and tell you guys that tune in here every morning or follow me or are, part of my circle. I think you just gotta speak your mind sometimes. And hopefully if enough people speak their mind and enough people stand against it, maybe we can make a change. Maybe things will get better. I can enjoy watching the NFL again versus, just being disgusted, man. It's like I've loved the Steelers my whole life. I've loved watching football. I've enjoyed it. I've taken my kids to games, started to introduce them to the game of football, and you just watch stuff like this, man. I just feel like I'm watching the NFL unravel, and they're unraveling literally for money, and that is sad. If your moral compass is impacted in any way by the magnetic force of money, then for me, man, I just lose a lot of respect for people. And it's easy to put something on paper and say you got core values, say you got a mission statement, and just let it be a piece of paper. It's all cool, man. Everybody's got integrity until something's on the line, until they're going to lose something, until it's going to impact their financials. They're going to lose some money. They're going to lose, credibility. They're going to take some bruises to their brand by doing the right thing. And, the NFL has continued over and over and over again to allow people to do just ridiculously crazy things and get away with it. And it's at some point it has to stop, or the NFL as we know it it'll never be the same. And unfortunately, I believe that current course and speed, that's where it's headed. So, any rate, guys, I hope you guys have an awesome Friday. I'm sorry to have kind of a negative conversation this morning on a Friday, but I know this show is supposed to be inspirational. But the idea is, it is inspirational to do the right thing, to take a stand, to stand for something, to not just allow people around you to do things that are clearly wrong and just let it go. It's an important part of having the right perspective in the world. If you let people get away with stuff like this, man, there will be just continued craziness in your life, in your business, everywhere. So I appreciate you guys tuning in this morning. Glenn, good morning. Chris, what's happening, man? Dina jumped on. Trudy, Rob, what's happening, guys? I appreciate you guys jumping in, and hopefully we'll stay tuned. We'll touch back on this one on Monday and see what the NFL decided to do. I hope they surprise me and lay down the law here and just don't stand for this kind of thing. But any rate, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome Friday and an even better weekend. And I will see you again right here at 7:30 a.m. bright and early Monday morning here on Morning Perspective. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I love you guys.